Hi, my name is Evelina, but you can call me Ev, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with consulting interviews and how I managed to get offers in tech consulting straight out of college after graduation. First, I'm going to talk a little bit about my background. So I haven't had any previous consulting internship experience. I'm not a part of any consulting groups on campus, really not part of any professional clubs on campus either that are directly related to consulting or tech. So I really had to ride on my other previous experience, and I was extremely nervous about this. I didn't think I would be able to land a consulting role without the kind of experience that I've typically seen people have in these videos or on campus, or people I've talked to who just went straight from the internship into the full-time job. But I'm here to tell you, you can do it, and you can definitely apply a lot of the previous experience you had, no matter what it is, into your consulting role, because having a lot of different thoughts and a variety and diversity of thinking is super important in consulting. In terms of my background, professionally, or I guess internship-wise, my first internship was a special projects intern in the technology department of a company, and then my other position was software engineering intern in the same company, but that was the summer after. And then my most recent internship, so junior to senior year summer, I was a summer analyst at a financial company in their data operations group. So as you can see, I haven't really had any businessy related things, and I also haven't had any consulting related things. It was all basically technical, besides my first internship, which was mostly project management kind of based, honestly mostly administrative work. So most of my experience had been like coding, and not really that business side of things. So depending on the type of consulting you want to go into, the amount of coding definitely varies. So there are some more technical roles, like the one that I ended up choosing is a solutions engineering analyst, which is very heavy on coding, and there's a lot of computer science majors and engineering majors that end up in this position. But then there's also other tech consultants that focus more on the strategy aspect of it, while still having that technical expertise. Depending on the positions you're applying for, that technical knowledge definitely varies. In terms of school, I'm an information analysis major at the University of Michigan, and that's basically a combination of people, information, and technology, and kind of looking at the intersection of that, which I was really able to sell for consulting interviews, because that really is what tech consulting is. So that definitely really helped me, even though I didn't have those prior internships. Additionally, something that I really pushed was being an instructional aide for data-oriented programming at Michigan for 2 years, because I was really able to explain technical concepts to people that didn't have as much technical knowledge or background. Definitely finding different things to push if you don't have those consulting internships is super important, because like I said before, diversity of thought, diversity of skill is super important, and if you really want to do tech consulting, you're going to find a place in it. Next, I want to go through what I did before interviews to actually get the interviews. That's kind of what I was most worried about. I kept seeing videos about, oh, this is what the interview looks like, here's a walkthrough interview, but I was most worried about actually getting those interviews, because how was I supposed to prepare for interviews I didn't even have? So I really focused a lot on getting those interviews and making connections and making sure that I had the opportunity to show off my skills in a face-to-face interview, as opposed to just having my resume kind of go through their database. The most important thing, in my opinion, is to email recruiters and email alumni of your school that work at the company, and send LinkedIn messages to people currently in the positions to really get your name in there, and also learn more about the position and if it's actually what you want to do, and learn more about the company and if it's where you want to be. One of the first things I did, it was probably about July before my senior year, I emailed my campus career center and basically asked them for the emails of recruiters that they had for consulting companies, specifically the tech consulting companies, or tech consulting recruiters. And my major is very small, and they have kind of their own career counselor office, so they have access to the recruiters that are specifically recruiting people in my major. So I would definitely look into that if your school has something like that, something more specific for career counseling. But if not, it's totally okay to email your career office and ask them for the information that they have just to get your name out there, like I said. I probably ended up emailing about 5 recruiters, maybe. Didn't get a response from all of them, but for most of them I did. So I actually did get to have a coffee chat with a recruiter, and one of the recruiters I stayed in contact with all the way up until my job offer. So I first emailed her in July, and then I got my offer in October and was actually with that same recruiter the whole time. I'm gonna put up an example of what my messages looked like to these recruiters. It was basically a very simple template, which is right here, and it's essentially introducing yourself and explaining why you're interested in consulting. If you have talked to any alumni or people that currently work at the company, definitely throw that in there and explain, oh yeah, this person told me why this company is great and that's why I want to work here specifically, and throw in those specifics, because if you just have a copy and paste template for every single recruiter, they're going to know that it's not personalized and that you're sending it to everyone. So definitely throw in some personalization to the company and explain why you want that specific company. Next, I also emailed alum from my major in school, from all different companies in consulting that I was interested in working for, and they were all so open to have coffee chats and phone calls and informational interviews, which for each of them I prepared a Google document that kind of had questions on it and any information I wanted to know, and pretty much all of them offered to help me practice for interviews or offered to stay in touch. And similar to the recruiter that I stayed in touch with all throughout the process from when I first emailed her, I actually stayed in touch with an alum from my major that also ended up being a part of the offer that I was given. So making those personal connections and showing that you're super interested in the company early on, I found to be really important, especially if you don't have a return offer from an internship in consulting. And then also there's on-campus coffee chats. Sometimes you might get emails from your career center that says, oh, this company's having coffee chats. And if you can, sign up, it doesn't hurt. And I also had a coffee chat with somebody that I ended up accepting the offer with. So definitely making those early connections and making sure your name is standing out is super important, and I highly recommend. I think it really helped me get the offers that I did. When I was Googling about how to get consulting interviews and how to do well on them, I did find a lot of books, and I did actually buy one, but I ended up not reading it really. A lot of those books are for management consulting and more of the business aspect, as opposed to tech consulting and kind of like the more technical aspect of consulting. So unless there's a book that came out recently or that I missed on tech consulting, I would probably stay away from those because they are not super applicable to tech consulting, and I didn't really find any of the practice cases or the structure of the interviews to be very similar to what I experienced in real tech interviews. However, instead of reading books, I did watch YouTube videos, which I found really helpful, and that's why I'm making one right now too, so I can help you guys and pay it forward. And Christine Wong is probably the best tech consulting resource that I found on YouTube, so I'll link that down below. Make sure to check her out because she really helped me with my consulting experience and getting my tech offers, because she explains things like her salary and her pay, which I haven't started working as a consultant yet, so I can't share that yet, but just being really transparent with her current experience as a consultant as well as how she got to that point. So definitely check that out. I think it's a great resource. Depending what campus you're on or what university you go to, different consulting companies might have informational sessions on your campus, and I went to so many of those, and I think that showing that continued interest throughout the semester is very important, because at a lot of those they actually do take attendance and they send you links that are personalized just for the session. And I did go to a lot of those for the companies that I ended up getting offers from, and I think that showing that continued engagement and that continued interest as opposed to just applying one time and never seeing your name again really helped as well. And then obviously the information sessions allowed you to connect with people that work there currently, usually alum of your school, so you were able to learn more about the company and see if it was a good fit for you. That's basically what I did to prepare for getting the interviews. And then actually getting the interviews, don't be afraid to ask the recruiters or alum you're talking to how to apply, because then they sometimes can send you a link personalized for your campus, so it's not just the general application link. A lot of the times they will just point you to the general application link, but showing that enthusiasm that you want to apply will definitely make you stand out, and that you're excited to apply will also make you stand out. So yeah, in terms of getting the interviews, definitely making those early connections through recruiters or alum, and then attending information sessions is most important. But if you also kind of want to get a taste of what the interviews will look like or what consulting is really like, YouTube videos are a great place to look. Okay, so that's kind of my background and what I did to get the interviews. But in terms of actually preparing for interviews once you have them, I didn't believe this when I heard it, but it's all about practicing. I didn't feel motivated enough to do it as much as I probably should have. But so I basically started practicing when I got the interview, not at all before. But if you have time in the summer before applying, definitely start practicing then so that you're not overwhelmed, because I was extremely overwhelmed in the fall with exams and like 5 interviews in 1 week. So definitely start early and start practicing as early as you can. But also, there are only so many practice cases for tech consulting out there, so don't use up all of the tech consulting practice cases right away. Kind of save some of them for the end. So for practicing, like I said before, the alum that you talk to or the people that you connect to for coffee chats, a lot of the time they will offer to help you and practice the cases with you. But sometimes they won't, or sometimes maybe you're a little too scared to reach out to them again, which you shouldn't be. But if you are, you can definitely use family members or friends or roommates, and I did that for sure. So even my boyfriend and my sister, they both just read off the cases for me, and being able to practice talking out loud and actually explaining your ideas as opposed to like writing them down or going over them in your head, I think really helped, because then you get comfortable talking to the person and explaining your ideas in a more, I guess, eloquent fashion as opposed to kind of just winging it the day of after all you did was practice typing. So depending on the company, a lot of the time they will assign you a buddy. So for 2 out of the 3 offers that I got for consulting, I did get 2 like consulting buddies, interview buddies, that helped me go through practice cases prior to my interview, and also just kind of chatted with me prior to my interview to make sure I didn't have any questions. And my buddy for one of the companies actually helped me for like 3 hours the week before my interview. So definitely utilize your resources. That's why they're there, and they're super happy to be there and help you. At least I like to think they're happy to be there, because when I'm a consultant, I would be happy to help people too. But yeah, definitely make sure to text your buddy if you're assigned one, set up Zoom calls if you can, and talk to them as much as you can and get that experience and those tips that they might be giving you. Another thing I actually did was on the invite, I don't know if this happened on purpose, but basically on the invite to a pre-interview session, I saw a girl that was in my class. So I actually texted her and I said, hey, do you want to practice cases together? And she said, yeah. So even though we were interviewing for the same position, we actually helped each other with practice cases. So don't be afraid of other people interviewing for the position. Most of these consulting companies have many spots for the same like position title from the campus. So it's not like you're actually directly competing against each other. So I think that like for one spot or anything. So I think it's important to use your resources, use your friends, and then if you both end up accepting the offer, then you'll have a friend at the company already. So that was kind of how I practice cases. And like I mentioned before, YouTube videos were also super helpful. So Christine Wong had a lot of practice cases on her YouTube that I went through, and she does a lot of actual live practice cases with people that are going through consulting interviews. So those helped me as well. I would pause the video and kind of say what I thought and then listen to what the candidate thought and then what the actual answer was. So that was super helpful. So the next thing I did that I thought was extremely helpful was create a Google Drive folder and keep all my resources in there. Having a Google Drive folder where I kept all of my resources for interviews, all my practice cases, kind of like my cheat sheets that I made before the interviews, that really helped me have customized answers for each company, and kind of review it before the interview so that it's fresh in my mind what they're looking for. Outside of preparing using your friends and family, the resources that the company's giving you prior to your interview, as well as kind of having a Google Drive with all your practice cases and these little cheat sheets that I would make before the interviews. Confidence is definitely the most important thing, which sounds so silly to say, but in the summer, probably in August, that's when I started applying to these companies, some of them in September, and I felt like I was not getting any interviews. And a lot of my fellow students were accepting consulting consulting offers from their internships. So it seemed like everybody was having a job already. I deleted LinkedIn off my phone because I just couldn't look at it anymore. And it was just super stressful and a lot of pressure to not have a job when it seemed like everyone else did. And spoiler alert, not everyone else did. That's just kind of what you see online. So yeah, I remember telling my friends, okay, maybe consulting just isn't meant for me, because all these people around me, it seemed like, were accepting offers and I didn't even have an interview yet. And obviously, like, this was September, which means that most people accepting them were probably accepting return offers. But still, scrolling through LinkedIn and seeing all those offers when you don't have the offer that you want from the company you want is definitely very mentally draining and definitely drains your confidence. So if you need to delete LinkedIn off your phone like I did, do it, because you can only control what is happening in your life and control where your career is going. You can't control what anyone else is doing. So just stay focused on what you need to do to get the position that you want, and don't be affected by social media and what you see out there, because you can do it too. Keep that confidence up. Your mental health is important. Do yoga, do meditation, journal, and just make sure that you're taking care of yourself and eating well and exercising, because I definitely didn't do those things and ended up getting extremely overwhelmed and was just tired all the time. So it's totally okay to take time for yourself, and that's probably the most important thing you can do to prepare for interviews. I'm going to go through my interview experience in another video, which is going to be in the second part of this video, that talks more about my actual experience, what the format of the interview was like, what the structure of the interview was like. But I didn't want to make this video too long and boring, so that's kind of my basic background, how I prepared for interviews, how I got the interviews, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited that you're here and that you're looking into tech consulting. I'm definitely going to be making more videos about how I was able to get these offers, and I hope that I can help you get them too. So yeah, thank you so much. Bye.